Alright legends, welcome along to Here's Rodder's Reviews. This time we're getting into that trailer for Quantum Leap for 2022 and I don't know, gotta say, I'm not feeling it. I'm really not feeling it. Right now I'm not even sure where I can get hold of it to actually stream it. I'm just looking at IMDb here and it says the next episode is available on the 26th of September this year. So I don't know, I think I'd said at the end of that trailer it's available on Peacock, but I'm not 100% sure if we can even get that here in the UK at the moment, but I'm going to track it down, check it out. But as far as the trailer goes for Quantum Leap, I don't know, I don't feel it. I'm a huge fan of the original Quantum Leap, and it's one of those shows, or it was one of those shows, a very rare example. Doesn't happen much these days, or ever really, that you get a show where each episode was a strong episode and there was never nothing that you could really class as a real washout of an episode. The original Quantum Leap was fairly flawless from beginning to end. Now, a lot of people weren't really happy with the ending we got to the show, but it is what it is. It's just at the time science fiction seemed to be taking a bit of a backseat, like reality TV seemed to be on it. The build up at that stage, you know, as far as those sorts of shows at that stage, were just not as popular as they once were, and we didn't get a renew to the series that we were hoping for, and what they were kind of hoping to set up. And that closing, what we did get from the original Quantum Leap, just didn't come to pass. I think at one point they were hoping they were going to bring it back as like a series of like TV movies to continue Sam Beckett's journey on some shape or form. But this here pretty much is setting it up to be just I don't want to say a shot for shot reboot of the series, but it definitely seems to be, from the trailer, that's what I'm kind of getting from it. Just the feeling that this is just going to be the same story told over again with just a new cast of characters. Now on IMDb it does say that set 30 years after Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished, follows a new team that must restart the project, hoping to understand the mysteries behind the machine and its creator. Now, I have been kind of jumping in and out of this here from the first talk about Quantum Leap being renewed, and that was pretty much the exact same thing that they said at the very beginning of the entire process. And I don't think that's changed, that little synopsis there on IMDb from day one. I do know that Scott Bakula, or Bakula as I like to call him because it sounds like Dracula, the original Sam Beckett, has said that he is not involved in this project either in front of or behind the camera. Now take that as you will. I don't think there's any animosity with him and the people that are making this new show, but if he's not involved in it at this point, either in front of the camera or behind the camera, then how close is this going to be to the original as Sam Beckett, and that everything that happened in the original show, is that even going to be talked about in this new series? Is it a continuation or is it something brand new? Again, from what we're seeing here in that IMDb, I think it's just going to be a shot for shot remake of the entire show. What I'm not a huge fan of is the time period involved here, because if you do know the original show and the original premise of Quantum Leap, Dr. Sam Beckett's character is very similar to this here. In fact, it's, again, shot for shot exactly what happens here. He steps into the time travel machine, the Quantum Leap accelerator, vanishes into the past before he should have done. That's exactly the same thing happens here. They say this guy knew that the machine wasn't ready for him, but he went anyway. You know, but what I say about time periods here, the original premise of the show was Sam Beckett was jumping from body to body, exactly the same way that it's set up in this show here. But he could only time travel within his own lifetime. So he was able to jump into different bodies from 1950 up to, I believe the time period at that stage was 1999, something like that. But yes, that's just, for me, seemed to be a more interesting time period than what they're given for this new Quantum Leap one. Because if you just look at the Leaper in this show, I'm just looking up his IMDb, and you know, the characters can play different age ranges, but let's just say, we'll just go with the year this guy was born. This guy was born 5th of February, Raymond Lee, he's called, and not to say he's a bad actor or anything like that there, but he was born 5th of February 1987. So the time period between 87 and 2022, yeah, there's only a few massive historical events that have happened since 1987 to present day that you could really touch on. But would you really want to try and attack any of these things as far as writing a script for something goes? Like, are these creators of this new Quantum Leap show, are they really willing to tackle something like, say, 9/11? I don't know. I wouldn't fancy making a science fiction show based around Quantum Leap and 9/11. Just for, I wouldn't do it for a pension. I would just be insanely bad taste if they went into something like that now. I feel that it's just, that happened a long, long time ago at this point, but it's still a very, very fresh wound for a lot of people that, it's just that event in particular, something that's etched in I was brought up here in Northern Ireland, not American of course, but I do recall actually been off work on holidays the day that happened, and I do recall actually watching it happening live on TV, so it's etched into my mind in a major way, and I was actually over at the memorial at the beginning of 2020, and yes, I'm just thinking, sitting watching this here trailer for Quantum Leap, would they be stupid enough to actually tackle that for an episode of a leaper jumping in to try and help on that day? Because Quantum Leap, the original run of the show, did not shy away from tackling some of the major controversies throughout history, from 1950 onwards. But it was all stuff that was, kind of far enough out that there was like a comfortable cushion of time there, and you could have dealt with it a little bit easier than something like this here. But I digress. It's just thoughts that I've been having throughout this trailer. But one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the fact that we have in the role of Al in this series, and it's not the fact that it's a woman and the role, it's the fact that there is a romantic interest between her and the new Sam, let's just say. So I don't know, for me, I would have wished for something more than we've got at this point here. We've got to the stage now where I genuinely feel that reboots and remakes are literally going to rip the industry apart at this point. This is a very, very beloved show that I have got a lot of good memories about, and I should be jumping up and down at the thought of a new Quantum Leap, but I'm just not feeling it. That's not to say I'm not going to check it out. I will be there if I can get this streamed somewhere legally. That's another subject for another time. It's not that long ago I was having a conversation with somebody about the whole streaming and stuff. Like a guy I was friendly with was like, you're into this review stuff, your channel will be much more successful if you were reviewing stuff, watching them on sketchy websites and getting them before the UK release date. And I'm like, okay, right, well, I don't think that's going to look too well whenever somebody that's set up in the UK is reviewing stuff before it's legally released. I don't fancy going down that road whatsoever. But so many digressions in this episode. I honestly don't know what I feel about this new Quantum Leap at this point. The trailer looks good, the visual effects look good, the acting looks good, everything about it looks good. We've got Ernie Hudson in there and a role you can't go wrong with Winston Zeddemore been in it. But at the same time, it's Quantum Leap, and it doesn't seem to be connected to the original material whatsoever. That's not the vibe I'm getting from the trailer. I think I genuinely hard think at this point that they were just using the 30 years after Sam Beckett sort of style to kind of promote the thing to get it off the ground in the first place. But I think they're just going to go down the way of like, this is a fresh restart to the whole thing. This is the first time Quantum Leap's ever been touched, and we're just going to go with it that way. But I could be wrong, and hopefully I am wrong, but Sam Beckett's character, I don't know, if you know the original show, I don't think that there'd be ever a way that you could really touch on actually physically having Sam Beckett in the show, even if you did at the beginning of the first episode say, okay, this was a subject, or this was a project that was started 30 years ago by this guy. He disappeared, they tried to get him back and whatnot, and at the end of the final episode we did find out that Sam Beckett never returned home. It was his choice to keep leaping on and doing what he was doing there. But I suppose at some point within the leaps of this series here, you could perhaps have this new character meeting up with Sam Beckett's character in time and have a crossover event and bring the original Sam back for an episode as like a team up, more or less. But I can't see it. But again, Sam Beckett, Scott Bakula has said again that he's not connected with the show in any way, shape or form. So doesn't bode well whenever your original star isn't willing to get on board with the new show. And he was at one point sent a few scripts to check out at the beginning of the process, but he obviously respectfully turned the project down. So if your original star isn't willing to get involved, it doesn't bode well. But we'll just have to see, and I'm going to go see if I can track down somewhere where I can actually watch this legally, and I'm not going to be getting any of those sketchy websites. So stop actually sending me messages and saying you should do this, you should do that there. I'm trying to run this thing as legally and above board as I can. I don't want to be doing all this sketchy nonsense that's going to get channels deleted and pulled down and whatnot. There's too much of that happening at the moment with other channels trying to twist their way to getting views. It's not me. I don't do stuff. I don't work that way. So that's going to do it. Sorry about the little bit of frustration on this upload, but dealing with a few things that you really shouldn't be dealing with at this point. But it is what it is. But anyway, the new Quantum Leap, not feeling it, but we'll just have to check it out when the time comes and see what I think then.